So you're in Canada to promote your 5th studio album, Animal Ambition. What can we expect from this album?
I'm excited about it. You can expect it to be exciting. And for me, it's my reintroduction. Because I've spent so much time, like a long time period on hiatus. I was in the back portion. In the music business, I was in the business portion of music for 4 years. Because it was my 5th and final album requirement for Interscope, we was in a position where we would have to do audits and go through the books and everything. And then there was conflicts in different areas. Like my album, Get Rich or Die Trying, is the largest debut in hip-hop album. And the way we sold ringtones at that point is exactly how we sell the single. So the language and the contracts spoke to the same light, and the way I would be paid off a ringtone, if I argued that that was the way I was to be paid off of the singles, would mean that they owed me like another $23 million maybe.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we went through that process, and it took for 4 years actually. It took a while for us to get through it, and then I was paid. And then everything was comfortably, we resumed back to making music. And then, you know, like what I was getting out of the response to the action music made me feel like I lost that camaraderie we had at one point.
Touch with the audience?
But, right, not the touch with the audience, but within the actual system itself, because Interscope's priorities shifted. They created beats, audio. And beats was the priority of things that were there, and I had already committed to my own audio company, SMS Audio. So it was like I'm the competing company while actually being signed to the company as an artist. So I couldn't get the leverage that I needed to properly launch the project. So I went another route, went the Eminem route.
And just to speak about that route, you've already released several of the songs off the album, and you've included music videos. What incentives do you have for people to purchase the album if a lot of it is already online?
Yeah, see, that question is answered in every project that you've seen so far. All of them has been online and available before you actually bought them. They all leak before they're actually supposed to be out.
So are you saying that you took the steps to do it before? And make sure, and including music videos, because not everybody launches a music video. Beyonce had the first 30 seconds of a music video. You have the whole thing on your website.
Look, when you go, they can tease to it and get people excited so they can buy it, or you can actually give it to them, and it assures them that they're buying something that's worth buying, because they've heard several projects. I have music that I've bought months after the actual album was released, because I knew it was something that I actually wanted to hear. If you view it and you say, well, you put everything out, so why am I supposed to be excited to buy it? Did you hear it when it came out?
So you almost value customers.
Right, so it's like, when they heard it, when it actually came out, if it was good to you then, why is it not good now? When it came out over a period that they would say it's only sufficient for them to launch one song. Like, we previously would launch records, it would take 6 to 8 weeks for it to reach a position that we would know whether it would make it into the top 10 records. And now it's taking 20 weeks for it to do the very same thing.
And just like on that topic, releasing the albums, we talked about this Wu-Tang Clan that said that they're going to launch one album in a silver box and hopefully get millions of dollars off of this one single album. You had Beyonce launch her album in secret online. Radiohead launched it virtually for free online. Do you feel it's come to a point where artists need to be extremely innovative with their marketing tactics when it comes to launching an album?
I think the Radiohead concept is them getting away from escaping major record sales. Like they had extreme sales histories in the past. With Beyonce launching a record in the middle of the night is the resistance that she's receiving from the performance of the actual material. It's like two or three songs came off of that project before she decided to just put it out in the middle of the night. Then when you get a chance to hear the full body of work, I fell in love with the record. She's still Beyonce to me. You see what I'm saying? Like, and when I actually decide to create a campaign for the actual record that can sustain the audience, because it has to sustain your interest for 1 week until the next song comes, until the next song comes, until the next song comes. And the actual visuals match the song, so if you weren't impressed by the music, you'll understand creatively why it's the way it is when you see the images. And I just think it's obviously a more complex presentation because you have to be really premeditated. You have to know what each one of your songs are to feel like. We only needed to know what 3 looked like. What 3 records were, because we were only shooting 3 music videos before you sold millions of records. And the adjustments are technology. They created the adjustments because now, like, we would launch in the U.S. and then 3 months later launch internationally. It comes out today here. It comes out today in the U.S. It comes out today
Everywhere.
in Japan.
We've got online world.
Everywhere.
That's the way it is, right?
Yeah.
And so, if anything, that's hurt the music industry. And I think global revenue has actually fallen about 4% in the past year. And it's a reflection of music pirating. Do you think artists need to become multifaceted in order to turn a profit?
I think so. And they got to think brand extension. It got to be more business, a bigger business than just an actual artist. If they don't have it within their characters and their personal abilities, they have to find that knowledgeable component that has been around prior to them. Management portion of their actual business has to have that type of thought process running, so they can be associated to things that are making the spins that would allow them to mirror the presentations that happened in the past. Like your pop divas, like your Mariah Careys, your Jennifer Lopez, or your Janet Jacksons, those different artists would at points have marketing campaigns that reached the excess of $20 million. And then out of the actual CDs, the sales of those projects, they were recouped with no problem. Now, that's not going to happen. The major record companies are not going to spend that much money on their project, so they got to figure out how to create campaigns that mirror that, or the audience doesn't understand. Like their audience will feel like, she was so big. Remember how big she was? What they're saying is, she had so much marketing. Remember how big the marketing campaign was?
Right.
And because now the new campaign isn't matching things that they felt from those people in the past. So you'll get artists try to find new creative ways to sustain that audience, to sustain interest that they've already developed. And Beyonce's decision to just release the project in the middle of the night is saying whether the record sell or not, her tour is still already geared up. It's not going to stop the tour from happening. Aretha Franklin's still on tour. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to go away. Like, they're going to be there. Like,
they're staples because of the marketing and implementing it in people's minds, and people are familiar with it.
Right.
And just to talk about your ventures, you have a stake or had a stake in Vitamin Water, your charitable energy drink, video games, producing TV shows. You're pretty much dabbling in it all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you've rapped about drugs, you rapped about violence, sex. How do you try to keep 2 separate images, the music artist and the entrepreneur?
No, well, the 2 separate images, it's the same person. It's me, being who I am. Like, my experience, my personal experience prior to any success in music and those things are created my choice as an artist. If I have the ability to capture a darker portion of my experience, then that's what I'm going to do. You always look at why aggressive content bleeds into music culture. If you look at just your newspaper,
It's what leads headlines.
right? Mm-hmm. It's why it ends up in actual creative also, because it's the things that people see that they're shocked about.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, so I'd like to thank you very much for joining us on BNN.
It's a pleasure.
And have a great time in Canada.
It's my pleasure.